students, welcome back to the class. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, and the topic of the chapter is the Constitution. As you all know about the Constitution, here I'll try to explain you the different kinds of Constitution and their merits and demerits. So first of all, if I ask you what is mean by Constitution, each and every student, definitely I think they may give me the answer that it is a rule book. Of course, in a very simple sentence, it is a fundamental law of the land. It is like Constitution is a set of rules and regulations according to which the country is governed. Very simple answer. So apart from that, many of the political philosophers, political scientists, they have given various definitions of the Constitution. So we'll discuss today about the Constitution in detail. So let's start with our class. So I've given over here, I've written something over here. I'll try to explain you one by one. So the topic is the Constitution. So I have a paper over here. It's a notes prepared by me, and I'll definitely provide you. So you can check the link of the description. Link in the description. Download it from there, and I request you all to watch the video till the end. Watch the video till the end for your better understanding. So the Constitution. First of all, I would like to tell you what is mean by Constitution. Once again, Constitution is a law of each state. Law of each state, but what type of law? Supreme law. Constitution is a supreme law of each state. Now there should not be any confusion when I say state. In a political term, we call country as a state. State has four characteristic features. First one is population, territory, then we have government, and then sovereignty. So these features, wherever it is there, that is called a state. So country and state, there should not be a confusion. So I just told you, Constitution is a supreme law of the land. What type of law? Supreme. Beyond that, there is no other law. Okay, and it lays down in the Constitution. It lays down rules. What are there? Rules regarding what? Regarding the organization, powers, and the functions of the government. Three things: organization, powers, and the functions of the government. You must remember organization, powers, and the functions. Okay, these three things definitely must be there. And it also defines the basic features of the state and the relationship between the citizen and the state. Relationship between the citizen and the state. So this is a simple, if you are asked what is mean by Constitution, you can write this one as your answer. So once again, Constitution is a supreme law of the state. It lays down rules regarding the organization, powers, and functions of the government. It also defines the basic features of the state and the relations between the citizens and the state. This is a simple term. Now, definitions. Various definitions are given. Definition, what is the difference between a meaning and a definition? Definitions are given by a writer or a political philosopher that cannot be changed. If you are asked what is mean by Constitution, you can write your own answers in your own language, but definitions cannot be changed. Suppose for example, definition given by Woolsey. Definition given by Woolsey. What he says? He says Constitution is a collection of principles. This is his sentence. I cannot quote Woolsey said and I give my own meaning of the Constitution. No, you cannot do that. So you have to write what Woolsey has written about or given the definition about the Constitution. Woolsey says, according to Woolsey, Constitution is the collection of principles according to which the powers of the government, rights of the governed, and the relations between the two are adjusted. relation between the two are adjusted. This is in the words of Woolsey. Okay. Now another one more is there. It is this definition is given by Gilchrist. I am just reading it out. I cannot make my own. So constitution is a set. Constitution is a body. Okay. So let me give you in proper way in his own words. Constitution of a state is that body of rules, written or unwritten, which determine the organization of the government, distribution of powers to the various organs of the government, and general principles on which these powers are to be exercised. These powers are to be exercised. So this is in the words of Gilchrist. So definitions are different, but altogether, what is the outcome? What we are getting it? The meaning of the Constitution. So they have given the meaning in their own words, and that has been called as a definition, which we cannot change it at all. So once again, let me tell you, suppose if you are writing about Woolsey has defined Constitution, so you have to write what exactly Woolsey has written about the Constitution. Now, what is, so it is mentioned over here, what does Constitution describe? What is the nature of the Constitution? What is the importance of the Constitution? I told you about what is meant by Constitution. Then we tried to define the Constitution according to Woolsey and then Gilchrist. Now, what is the nature? So, nature and the features of the Constitution. So, it is given over here. I wrote it over here in advance so that in order to save our time. So, it describes, first of all, Constitution describes and legally prescribes. What does it do? It describes and it legally prescribes. Number one, the organization and the powers of the government, which we, while discussing about the definition, we got it. That means the organization and the powers of the government. Organization and the powers of the government. Number one. Number two, the principles and the rules governing. Principles, what type? What should be there in the Constitution? Principles and the rules of governing. Rules of governing. Okay. Rules of governing. The struggle for powers of the state. There is always a struggle for power between the states. Suppose in a federation, different, so many states are there. So there should not be a conflict on the basis of the government. That is why in order to make the system and administration easier, Constitution is must. So Constitution gives them the power. So the states derive their power from the Constitution. Like in our country, we have a Constitution, one of the lengthiest Constitution of the world. And it describes the powers and the functions of the various organs of the government. So and the distribution of power between the central government and the state government. Okay. Now, third one you can see over here, the relation. That means the Constitution describes and legally prescribes the relations between the people and the government. What should be the relation between the people and the government is described and prescribed in our Constitution. Okay, then the last one, Constitution describes and legally prescribes the rights and duties of the people. Describes and legally prescribes the rights and duties of the people. So please zoom to make it more clear. Just for a sec. It's clear? Just clear? So once again, let me clear it once again. So it is very much clear that it describes okay, and legally prescribes the organization and power of the government. Okay, the principle and the rules governing the struggle of the state. And the third one, the relation between the people and their government. And the fourth one, the rights and duties of the people. So this is how the Constitution describes the Constitution in a more proper way. So now let us continue with different kinds of Constitution. So how many kinds of constitutions are there? If you are asked, you may say so many constitutions. So there should not be a confusion. So many articles are there. Okay, but constitution are of 6 types. How many types of constitutions are there? 6 types of constitutions are there. So I'm going to write it on the board so that you can go through it. Okay. Okay. So kinds of constitution. So how many kinds of constitutions are there? 6. Written, number 1. Number 2, unwritten. Number 3, rigid. Number 4, flexible. Written, unwritten, rigid, flexible, and number 5, evolved and enacted. Evolved and enacted. So these are the kinds of constitution. And whatever constitution we have, whatever constitution India has, we have a written constitution. We have a written constitution. And whatever constitution UK has, unwritten constitution. These are the 2 forms in the world, written and unwritten. Apart from that, according to their features, we can discuss about it, like rigid, flexible, evolved, and enacted. So let us discuss about written. What is meant by written constitution? So the word itself gives us the meaning that it is in the form of written material. Okay, it is in the form of writing. So written constitution means the constitution written in the form of book. Written constitution is a constitution. It is in the form of book. Okay, it is in the form of book or a series of documents combined in the form of book. Series of documents combined in a form of book. It is a consciously framed. That means with full conscious, people have framed and enacted the constitution. It didn't come all of a sudden. People sat, decided, discussed, and drafted it with full conscience. So it is formulated. Who has drafted the constitution? Definitely it is formulated and adopted by the constituent assembly or a council or a legislature. So either the constitution is framed or drafted by a constituent assembly or the council or the legislature. Okay. So accordingly, there is a political philosopher. He has given a proper in his own words. So he writes, Garner writes, written constitution is consciously planned constitution, formulated and adopted by deliberate actions of a constituent assembly or a convention. It provides for a definite design of government, institutions, their organizations, powers, functions, and interrelationship. So it is written by Garner. He has given his views. What is meant by written constitution? So same. Okay. Now next one is we have unwritten constitution. Next one we have is unwritten. So unwritten means it is not in the form of writing. So is that possible that unwritten can definitely not create any confusion? So unwritten constitutions are not in the form of a book, but it is in the form of treaties and charters. So let me tell you, unwritten constitution is one which is neither drafted nor enacted. It is not at all a drafted or enacted one. Okay, so it is found in several historical charters. So the constitution is completely based on historical charters, laws and conventions. So what my father followed, I will follow it. What I will follow, my son will follow that. So that is how they continue with the governing of the states. Okay, that creates confusions also. Okay, it is a product of a slow and gradual evolution. What my ancestors did, we are following it in a different way. So slowly and gradually we are evolving. The rules and regulations and the way of living, we are changing. The rule, the way how to rule is being changed. The administrative systems are changed. Everything is same. We are doing it on our best. We are looking after the administration. But everything we are doing it in an evolved way. What my parents taught me, I follow that. What I teach to my students, they'll follow that. So they will go on adding in that, in those systems on their own. But it is not in the form of book. So rules are very, very important. So it is mentioned that the people know their constitution. People know their constitution. So they accept, obey it and do not possess it. They know their constitution. Written constitution, book is there, but unwritten, they know that we have a constitution which we have not seen it, but we have a constitution to which we obey, but we do not possess. So it is in the form, it is not in the form of written book. So unwritten constitution cannot be produced in the form of book. If I say our constitution, please show me the Indian constitution, I can at least carry the book, carry the constitution and show you, yeah, this is our constitution. But if the country which has unwritten constitution, can they produce the constitution in front of me? Can they show me, yeah, this is my constitution? No. They can say we have the constitution, but it is not in the form of book. So that is unwritten constitution. Written constitution in the form of book, and unwritten constitution not in the form of book. They just follow the chapters, laws of the past. Now will be the third one, rigid, very tough. Meaning of rigid is very, very tough. So what does it mean? So in order to cope up with the situation, it doesn't mean that once the constitution is written long time back, that constitution we have to follow throughout our life. We cannot bring any changes. That is not so. According to the needs of the time, definitely the provisions are there in the constitution. We can amend it. The word used to bring certain changes in the constitution is known as amendment. Amend means to change. Amend means to change. Okay? Amend means to change. So we are not going to change the constitution as a whole. The basic feature of the constitution, definitely we cannot change it. We just can bring little changes in the constitution. Whole entire structure we cannot change, but within the structure, suppose this is my room. Okay, this is my room. I cannot break this wall, but I can color the wall. Right? I can set this blackboard from here to there. That is possible. But I cannot shift this room from this place to other place. That is not possible. Not possible at all. So that is why constitution, certain changes can be brought within the constitution, but we cannot completely change the structure of the constitution. So not possible. So that's what I'm talking about. Rigid constitution. Rigid constitution. In order to amend the constitution, it has to go through a very tough process. Easily they cannot amend the constitution. Rigid constitution is one. The rigid constitution is one in which amendment is not easily possible. That means it cannot be easily amended. It cannot be easily amended. So majority required, like 2/3 or 3/4. 2/3 majority of both the houses, or the 3/4 of the states. 3/4 of the state ratification. So I'll explain you the process of amendment, how it is done in America, India, and UK. I'll explain you in another class. Now next one we have is flexible constitution. The another one is flexible. Flexible means we can move it, we can bring changes easily. Okay, the flexible constitution is one which can be amended easily. Okay, several political scientists advocated the view that flexible constitution is one in which the constitutional law can be amended in the same way as an ordinary law. The laws are passed in the legislature, so if any laws are to be changed, then definitely the same procedure can be followed in the legislature to bring amendment in the constitution. Okay, so then next one we have is rigid. We discussed it cannot be easily amended, a tough process, like the American Constitution. It's a rigid constitution. Till today only 27 amendment has been done. 27 till today. Just imagine how tough it is to bring changes. And the flexible. Our constitution, let us talk about the Indian constitution. Our constitution both. Our constitution has both the features. We have both the features. Our constitution is rigid as well as flexible. Our Indian constitution is rigid as well as flexible. Okay. Now the next one we have is evolved. All these are related somehow. Evolved constitution. Evolved constitution. So what is mean by evolved constitution? So evolved constitution is one which is not made at any time. It was not made. Constitution was not at all made by any assembly or person or any institution. The constitution which is not made by any assembly or any person. It is the result. It is a result of slow and gradual process of evolution. Slow and gradual process of evolution. Its rules and principles draws binding force from the fact of their being recognized as ancient, historical, time-tested and respected customs of the conventions. Respected customs and conventions which they have been following from generation to generation, which they respect those laws that they continue to follow with the generation to come. Continuously they follow. It is not in the form of book. Okay, evolve slowly and gradually. You can just imagine that the early human beings, how they were. They were food gatherers, then slowly they learned the technique of agriculture. So changes took place. So that way changes started taking place. They used to live in single, then they used to lead a single life. Then they started having a family life and all. They used to live in caves. Then later on they started making houses. Evolution, slowly and gradually. That is called evolution. Changes taking place slowly and gradually. Okay, and then next one we have is enacted. So simple question: whatever constitution our country has, number one, we have a written constitution. Number two, our constitution is rigid and flexible. And number four, our constitution is an enacted constitution. I think you understood what I am trying to say. I am trying to make you understand that our constitution is a written constitution. Indian constitution is a written constitution. It is also a rigid as well as flexible constitution, and then it is also an enacted constitution. Why enacted? Because it was enacted by the Constituent Assembly. Our constitution was enacted by a Constituent Assembly. It is a man-made constitution. Man-made constitution. Men made it. We all sat together and decided. We all sat together and resolved to constitute India into a whatever country we wanted to make. Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Who decided? Who decided? We the people of India. So it is a man-made constitution. So our constitution is an enacted constitution, and this type of constitution where people sit together and decide what type of constitution, what type of country they want. That is known as an enacted constitution. So let me tell you, it is made and adopted and enacted by the assembly or council or the Constituent Assembly, okay, or Constitutional Council. It is duly passed after a thorough discussion. It is duly passed after a thorough discussion over its objectives, principles and the provisions. Okay, once again, thoroughly discussed over its objectives, principles and the provisions. It is written in the form of book. What type of constitution, enacted constitution is like? It is in the form of written book. It is in the form of written book. It is in the form of a book or series of documents, and in a systematic and formal manner. Formal manner. I hope you all understood it. And one more thing I suggest you, while watching the video, please use earphones, okay, or headphones, so that nobody can distract you. You can get involved in your subject properly and understand what I teach. Okay, so we discussed what is meant by constitution. We discussed the definitions of constitutions, then the kinds of constitution. One by one I explained you These constitutions, written, unwritten, rigid, flexible, evolved, enacted, all I discussed. Okay. So now, what is the difference between written and unwritten? What is the difference between written and unwritten? So I'd like to tell you about that. Okay. So last topic for today we are going to discuss is a difference between written and unwritten. So as I already taught you all the different kinds of constitution. So here we will be discussing about the difference between written and unwritten. So it is very easy only. Just I'll take few minutes. So written, unwritten. So written constitution is written in the form of a book or document, whereas unwritten constitution is not written in such form. It is not written in such form. Next one, written constitution is made and enacted by a constituent assembly. Written is made and enacted by a constituent assembly, whereas unwritten constitution is a result of gradual process. It is a result of gradual process. Then, written constitution is usually less flexible. Written constitution is usually less flexible than an unwritten constitution, whereas unwritten constitution depends mostly on unwritten rules. It depends mostly on unwritten rules or conventions. And the last one, a written constitution is definite. It is definite. We cannot alter it. We cannot change it. Whereas unwritten constitution cannot be produced in evidence. Like I can show you, I can prove you, I can bring it, I can show it as evidence, written one. But unwritten constitution cannot be produced in evidence. Okay? It has to be proved by quoting its sources and practices. Quoting when, who used it. So this way we have to use this. So altogether, this is the difference between written and unwritten. You can easily do that. And then related to this topic, written and unwritten. So there is a question: is the difference between written and unwritten constitution a real one? The differences which we made it between written and it's a real one. So when we say unwritten, is that really unwritten? Is that really unwritten? So definitely this topic we'll discuss in the next class. So in the next class we'll start with this question itself: is the difference between written and unwritten constitution a real one? So we'll start with that. So this much for today. In the next class we'll continue with the same topic, and then please go through the notes which I provide you today. If not today, after completing this chapter, I'll provide you with the notes. So keep on checking the description box of the video. Please watch the video as you people are at home. So you have enough time. Use microphone or headphone to watch the video so that it will be loud and clear. And please take care of yourself. Stay safe. Bye-bye.